Title: I, 32M, am divorcing my wife, 33F, after finding out my son, 5M, isn't mine. About 2 weeks ago, my life as I knew it came crashing down. It's still surreal to write this, but here I am, trying to make sense of it all. My wife of 8 years betrayed me in a way I never thought possible, and now I'm dealing with the fallout of finding out the son I've loved and raised for 5 years isn't actually mine. It all started when I went to visit my sister-in-law. She had just had her first baby, and I thought it'd be nice to stop by, congratulate her, and catch up. I even brought Jamie, my 5-year-old son. Or at least, that's what I thought at the time. Everything seemed normal at first. We were chatting about her new baby and how she was adjusting to being a new mom when, out of nowhere, her tone changed. She got this nervous look on her face, and then she just broke down. She told me there was something she'd been keeping to herself for years. Apparently, 6 years ago, my wife had a drunken one-night stand with her best friend. My sister-in-law said my wife had confessed it to her at the time, swearing it was a mistake and that she regretted it deeply. She told me she'd been living with the guilt ever since because Jamie might not be my biological son. At first, I just sat there stunned. My wife? Cheated? I didn't even know how to process it. I grabbed Jamie and left as soon as I could. I didn't say much to my sister-in-law except, "Thanks for telling me." My mind was racing as I drove home. I didn't want to believe it. There was no way it could be true. But at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to know for sure. The next day, I took Jamie to get a paternity test. It felt like I was betraying him just by doing it. I mean, he's always called me Dad, and I've always seen him as my son. But I had to know. I spent the next week in limbo, trying to act normal around Jamie while waiting for the results. When the results finally came, I opened the envelope with shaking hands, and there it was, proof that Jamie wasn't mine. My worst fears were confirmed. I can't even explain what that moment felt like. It was like the ground was ripped out from under me. Everything I thought I knew about my family, my marriage, and my life was suddenly a lie. That night, I waited until Jamie was asleep before confronting my wife. I showed her the test results, and the first thing she asked was, "Who told you?" She didn't deny it. She didn't apologize. Her first instinct was to figure out who had ratted her out. When I refused to answer, she finally admitted to the one-night stand. She tried to downplay it, saying it was a mistake, that she was drunk, and that it didn't mean anything. She swore up and down that she'd been faithful ever since. I couldn't even look at her. I told her I wanted a divorce. That's when she started crying and begging me to reconsider. She said we could work through it for Jamie's sake, that I was his father in every way that mattered. But I couldn't hear it. I couldn't look at her without seeing the betrayal. And as much as I hated to admit it, I couldn't look at Jamie the same way either. Things got worse when she threatened to fight for full custody. That's when I lost it. I told her, "Take your bastard child and leave. I don't want anything to do with either of you." It was the first time I'd ever yelled at her, and it must have hit her hard because she left that night with Jamie. She packed a bag and went to her parents' house, and I haven't heard from her since. Since then, I've been trying to pick up the pieces of my life. The house is quiet without Jamie around. Too quiet. But at the same time, I can't bring myself to reach out. My therapist says I need to focus on myself and let go of what's not mine to carry. She told me that it's okay to feel angry and betrayed, but I need to work through those emotions before I can even think about what comes next. My parents have been supportive, especially my dad. He told me I made the right decision and that I shouldn't have to raise another man's child. My younger brother has been trying to distract me with jokes and movies. But even he knows this isn't something I can just laugh off. As for my sister-in-law, I'm not sure how to feel about her. On one hand, I'm grateful she told me the truth. On the other hand, I can't help but wonder why she kept it a secret for so long. She said she finally broke down because she felt guilty seeing me so happy with Jamie, knowing the truth. Maybe that's true, or maybe she just wanted to stir the pot. Either way, it doesn't change what happened. The divorce process has started, And thankfully, we kept our finances and properties separate, so it should be straightforward. My lawyer assured me that I won't have to pay child support since I have proof that Jamie isn't mine. That's one less thing to worry about, at least. But even with the legal stuff going smoothly, the emotional side of things is much harder. I feel like I've lost my family and I'm still struggling with the fact that Jamie isn't my son. I know it's not his fault, but every time I think about him, all I can feel is anger and resentment. I'm trying to focus on myself and take things one day at a time. I've started going to therapy 3 times a week, which has been helpful, but there's still a long way to go. It hurts to think about the life I thought I had, the family I thought I was building, and how it all turned out to be a lie. I just hope that, with time, I'll be able to move on and find some kind of peace. For now, though, it's just one step at a time.